2 hours before her wedding, Emily Carter stared at her reflection in the bridal suite mirror and felt absolutely nothing. The expensive dress was perfect. The flowers were perfect. Their venue overlooking the lake was perfect. Yet the closer she got to saying, "I do," the more certain she became that she was making the biggest mistake of her life. Downstairs, hundreds of guests were arriving to celebrate her marriage to Ryan Whitmore, a wealthy entrepreneur whose family seemed to have everything. Everyone told Emily how lucky she was. Her parents adored him. Her friends envied her. On social media, they looked like the perfect couple. But somewhere along the way, she realized she had fallen in love with the idea of the life Ryan offered, not with Ryan himself. As panic settled into her chest, Emily opened her phone and scrolled through her contacts. Her thumb stopped on one name, Ethan Brooks. A widowed single father raising his young daughter alone. Ethan had been her best friend for years. He was the person she called when life fell apart, the person who remembered every important date, and the person who always showed up when someone needed help. Months earlier, Ethan had quietly admitted he loved her. He never pressured her, never asked her to choose him, and never interfered with her relationship. He simply told her the truth and accepted her decision when she chose Ryan. After that conversation, Ethan kept his distance, believing it was the respectful thing to do. Emily stared at the empty message box for nearly a minute. Then she typed 7 words, "If you still want me, come get me." Her hands trembled as she pressed send. Across town, Ethan was helping his 8-year-old daughter, Sophie, finish a school project when his phone buzzed. He looked at the message once. Then again. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. He had spent months trying to move on, convincing himself that Emily's happiness mattered more than his feelings. Sophie noticed the expression on his face. "Dad, what's wrong?" she asked. Ethan showed her the text. The little girl read it carefully before looking up at him. "The lady you love is getting married today, right?" Ethan nodded. Sophie thought for a second. "Then why are you still sitting here?" Meanwhile, at the wedding venue, Emily's anxiety grew worse. Guests filled the ceremony area. Musicians began preparing. Bridesmaids searched for her. Her mother knocked repeatedly on the suite door. Every minute that passed made her wonder whether she had made a terrible mistake by sending the message. Then her phone lit up. One new message. It was from Ethan. "I'm on my way." Emily's heart nearly stopped. Outside, wedding bells were about to ring. Inside, she realized that in less than 2 hours, her entire future might change forever. Emily stared at Ethan's message for several seconds. "I'm on my way." For the first time all day, the panic in her chest eased. Downstairs, guests continued arriving. Photographers adjusted cameras. The wedding coordinator checked schedules. Everyone assumed the ceremony would begin exactly as planned. No one knew the bride was questioning everything. Emily sat on the edge of a chair and thought about the years she had known Ethan. He had helped her move apartments. He had shown up when her father was hospitalized. He remembered birthdays, important interviews, and the little details most people forgot. Most importantly, he never made her feel like she had to earn his attention. Ryan wasn't a bad man. He was successful, ambitious, and respected. But when Emily imagined her future, she realized something painful. She trusted Ethan with her heart in a way she never trusted Ryan. Across town, Ethan drove toward the venue with Sophie sitting beside him. His hands gripped the steering wheel tightly. "Dad," Sophie said quietly. "Yeah. What happens when we get there?" Ethan smiled nervously. "I honestly have no idea." Sophie laughed. "Sounds exciting." Despite her smile, Ethan's mind was racing. He wasn't driving to stop a wedding. He wasn't driving to make demands. He was driving because someone he cared about had asked for help. What happened next would be Emily's decision. An hour later, he arrived at the lakeside venue. Luxury cars lined the entrance. Guests in formal clothing filled the grounds. Ethan suddenly felt very out of place. A single dad in a simple suit standing outside a wedding that wasn't his. Before he could change his mind, his phone rang. It was Emily. "Can you come to the garden behind the venue?" she asked softly. "I'm there." A few minutes later, Emily appeared. For a moment, neither of them spoke. She looked beautiful. But Ethan immediately noticed the tears in her eyes. "You came," she whispered. "You asked me to." Emily laughed through her tears. "That sounds exactly like something you'd say." The tension between them faded slightly. Then Ethan asked the question that mattered. "Do you love him?" Emily looked away. The silence gave him his answer. "I care about him," she admitted. "But..." She swallowed hard. "But he's not the person I think about when something amazing happens." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "He's not the person I want to call when my day falls apart." Ethan remained silent. "He's not the person I picture growing old with." Finally, she looked directly at him. "You are." For several seconds, the world seemed to stop. No speeches. No dramatic music. Just honesty. The kind that changes lives. Inside the venue, guests were beginning to wonder why the ceremony hadn't started. Ryan eventually learned that Emily was missing. To his credit, he handled the situation with dignity. When Emily later explained her feelings, he listened quietly. The conversation was painful, but it was also truthful. And deep down, Ryan admitted that he had sensed her doubts for months. A marriage built on uncertainty would have hurt both of them. As the afternoon sun reflected across the lake, Emily walked back toward the venue one final time. Not to get married. To explain her decision herself. Ethan waited outside with Sophie. He wasn't celebrating. He wasn't assuming anything. He simply waited. Because that's what he had always done. An hour later, Emily emerged from the building. The wedding was officially cancelled. The future was uncertain. Friends and family would have questions. Some people would criticize her decision. Others would never understand it. But for the first time in a long time, Emily felt honest. She walked toward Ethan. Sophie grinned and quietly stepped a few feet away to give them privacy.